We'll start with the chanting. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Ganana Tva Ganpatikam Havamahe Kavim Kavinam Upamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Ana Shrinvanmurtivi Sid Sadhanam Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Me Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. And the Manglacharan of Tattvabodha. Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnana Pradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattvabodho Bhidiyate Tattvabodho Bhidiyate. So we have chanted a few verses. I'll just explain a little bit because we should know what we are chanting. And of course, whenever we start any study, we seek the blessings of the higher powers. We seek their presence, that they be around when we are doing any kind of activity. So, first we start with the Shanti mantra. Sahana Bhavatu is the Shanti mantra. It comes from the Upanishads. And so this one, what does it say? Om Sahana Bhavatu. So those who can't read the Hindi script, they can just listen to me speak it. And also the chanting, watch me chant. There is a problem with Zoom. We can't chant together because when one chants, the other's voice echoes. So you can maybe chant on your side, and then we can slowly learn to chant the whole 4 plus 1, 5 verses. Okay, so this one, Sahana Vavatu, it says it seeks the blessings of the Lord of the higher powers. May the Lord bless both of us. May He protect us. Avatu means to protect. So this is a prayer by the teacher and the student, both together. May both of us be protected. हम दोनों की रक्षा हो. And then Sahanau Punaktu. May we both partake of this knowledge. May we both gain this knowledge. One is the transmitter, other is the receiver. But still it is believed in our tradition that even the Guru knows nothing. He gains this knowledge from the higher powers who have been kind enough to bless him with it. He is just a medium for the transmission of the knowledge. So the Guru is also learning while he is supposed to be teaching. So if I am teaching you, I am also learning. So I am blessed to have all of you here with me. Then Saha Viryam Karvavahe. May we do this activity with a lot of vigor, Viryam, energy, lot of power. So when we do anything with vigor, we are focused. We are able to do that activity to the maximum of our potential, right? So whether it be any normal activity like exercise, doing our home work at home or anywhere else, we have to do it with the best of our capacity. And then Tejas Vinavadhitamastu. Our intellect should glow, Tejasvi. We should be sharp. Our intellect should be focused. Because as long as we are not focused, then we are not able to grasp the knowledge. And then Ma with Vishavahi. May there be no quarrel between us. May there be no animosity between us. That is a very important part of any teaching. Because in a lot of teaching between the student and the teacher, sometimes the student knows a lot, right? But then when the student knows a lot, he thinks that maybe he is also better than the teacher, or she thinks he's better than the teacher, she's better than the teacher. So in that case, the total focus of knowledge is not there. When you come to a class, come with a clear mind, come with a clean mind. When your mind is clean, you are able to absorb. In Punjabi or Hindi, we say that a vessel that is filled, it cannot be refilled. Khali phanda, come with an empty vessel so that it can be filled with knowledge. Because one thing we have to remember about Vedic knowledge or any other knowledge from the scriptures, each level, each sentence has multiple interpretations. They will help you in all different kinds of activities in your life. So the same words can help you do good in business. It can help you do good in your home activities. It can help you do better in your sadhana. It can help you to stay happy. Happy is the most important part. When we learn this knowledge, when we go to through the full text Tattvabodha, what is it, the end result of that? We should learn to stay happy always. Never should any moment come in our life that should make us feel down. We should be able to handle all the ups and downs of life with equanimity, with any no kind of disturbance to our minds, right? So that is why Tejas Vinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we pray for peace. Peace, we say thrice because we have Adi Devik, Adi Bhautik, Adi Adhyatmik. There are three kinds of disturbances or problems that arise in the world. So Adi Devik, they from the natural forces, from the divine forces who run the universe. There are a lot of divine forces, the devatas who run all the forces in the universe. Anything that is happening in the universe, any movement that is happening, we prove through a logical way of reasoning that it is happening because there is some conscious force behind that, some consciousness. कोई चेतन में ही गति हो सकती है, मूवमेंट जो है किसी चेतन व्यक्ति में ही हो सकती है. So just like we are conscious and we are working and making this body move, similarly those divine forces are making the whole universe move, right? And so Adi Devik, then Adi Bhautik, all the people around us, all the elements around us, all the objects around us, they are consistent of Adi Bhautik. Bhautik, springing from the earth, anything that has come from the earth. So all that, even our own body itself is Bhautik. And then Adhyatmik, internal, our own moods, our passions, our thoughts, they bother us a lot. Sometimes we have a severe attachment, sometimes we have a severe fear. All of these emotions, they can cause disruptions to our emotional behavior. They can cause lots of disruptions. So to get rid of these disruptions, we have to pray to higher forces that when they bless us and help us not to get into any kind of trouble. Then, of course, in the next one, we always worship Ganapati, Ganesh, because he is the one to whom the first prayer should go to. That is a long story from the Puranas, why he was the Pratham Devata. So I'll not go into that. So this verse also invokes Ganesha into our life. May he help us. May he always be around us. He is the eldest of the Devatas, and may he always be in our life with auspiciousness. And then Saraswati. Saraswati is the goddess of knowledge. We always invoke her after that because any knowledge we are entering into, that goddess of knowledge has to bless us. So Saraswati Namastubhyam, we pray to you, we bow before you. Varade Kamarupini, she is the fulfiller of all our desires. Vidya Rambam Karishyami, we are starting this activity of gaining knowledge. Vidya Arambham Karishyami, Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. May this activity of ours be fulfilled. May we be able to achieve our motive. And then finally, Guru. The Guru is the one who is the conveyor of knowledge. So we always accord to him a higher status, as higher as the highest of gods, because we are not in direct contact with the gods. One day we will be, I assure you. Once we open our mind to the higher forces, they will bless us, they will come to us directly, we will feel them in our lives. But till then, the Guru is the medium for us to, because the Guru is not going to tell you what to do. He will tell you how to do. He will tell you how that inner potential is within you. You or yourself can realize it. Just look within you and you can awaken those feelings within you, awaken those powers within you, which will lead you to handle life in a more smooth way. So, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, all the three big gods, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, the creator, the maintainer, and the destroyer. So, we'll look into this also when we go into Tattvabodha, what they signify. And then Guru Eva Param Brahma. He is the highest. Param Brahma represents the ultimate reality. What everything is composed of. What is my true nature? That is Param Brahma. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. To that Guru we prostrate, we bow down to, we seek his blessings. And then Vasudevendra Yogindra Natva Jnana Pradam Guru. Mumukshu Nam Hitarthaya Tattvabodho Abhidhiyate. So, in this is the opening verse of the text that we are going to cover. Vasudevendra Yogindram, he is the guru of the author. Some say it is Shankaracharya, some say it is Vidyaranya. This is the beauty of Hinduism. This is the beauty that no one wants to take credit for knowledge. For any text that is written, some will have the names of the author, especially the more recent ones. But the more older you go, the author's main motive was to convey the knowledge and not to take credit for it. For him, the end is achieved when anyone can gain anything from that knowledge. So the author, he seeks his guru's blessings. Natva Jnana Pradam Guru. May my Guru grant me Jnanam or knowledge. Mumukshu Nam Hitarthaya. Here he is giving the purpose of the text. This we will cover in more detail, because once we go into the text, there is a lot of questions here that we have to look up to. So Mumukshu is the one who is looking after liberation. Liberation is the ultimate motive of all Hindu texts. Mumukshu is the one who is the seeker of moksha. Moksha is liberation. We always seek liberation in every step of our life. Liberation from all the worries, all the tensions, all the worries of the world, and to reach a stage where there will be permanent, everlasting, unending happiness. Happiness, joy, ananda, whatever name we choose to give it. So, in the proper in the proper Hindu texts, the name is Ananda. So Ananda is the highest joy, or if we choose an English word for it, we can keep a separate word for it. The most used word is bliss. So for Ananda, we can use bliss. That is the ultimate purpose of our studies of any spiritual text. So Mumukshu Nam Hitarthaya. For those who are seeking liberation, for their benefit, Hitarthaya, for their benefit, Tattvabodho Abhidhiyate. This grantha, this book, this text, Tattvabodha is being expounded, is being taught. So it's a very small text. If I write it down in Sanskrit, it will be 5 to 6 pages, not very long. But to explain it, I will need at least 20 hours at the minimum. So it has so many layers of things that can be learned. So before I go into the text proper, I would like to give you a broad overview of the total Hindu knowledge structure, the Vedic structure, the Vedic system. I don't mean to scare you if you look at the vastness of it. In fact, I mean to encourage you. What I mean to say here is, when we read this small text, that single text is sufficient for our lifetime. It is sufficient for us to live a very fruitful and good life, and at the end achieve that aim that is promised in the text, liberation, right? But for those who are more curious, a lot of us like to know more, read more. So when we know the basics, when we know all the basics that are being taught in this text, and we will go logically over every text. We will go over logically over every word of the text, so that it is set in our minds. So when it is set in our minds, then what will happen, even though it is a Sanskrit term, whenever you encounter it again in any of the other texts, you will be able to understand them. So that is what I am saying is the purpose of this text, Tattvabodha, that we can all use it to understand any of the difficult texts also. All of these will become clear to us. But we do not need to read each and every one of them. Right? We don't need to read all of them, because in one lifetime you will never be able to cover. But yes, of course, once you start reading with the uh, real interest, then you will be able to cover most of them and understand most of them. So if you understand Tattvabodha clearly, then you will be able to do that. So I request you, even though maybe a couple of you might be elder than me, or some there are kids, come to the class as little kids. Come with a notebook, write down everything. So I also used to write down when I was doing my class. So we would write down. So what do we need to write down? Not much. You just need to take a diary like this, divide it alphabetically, and alphabetically you write down the definitions of each and every term, right? Each and every term. And this book that we are reading, I will share, those who are in the group, I will share it with them, or individually. I will share the PDF. If you want, you can read from there. You can also take a printout. Some people like to write on the text, so you can write on the text also. Or I would suggest you use this diary, so that whenever a term comes, you can alphabetically search for it also. And at the end of this, you will need to write rules of logic, Vedanta logic. So I have written here how many rules? 26 rules. You can't see from there, I know, but I'm just telling you. There are 26 rules. Each of these rules help us make sense of the logic of everything that is being said in the text. There are certain rules. So all of these rules help us to make sense of the text that we will be covering right now. Of course, there are more rules. I will not say that this is an exclusive list, but it will cover most of the logic that is needed to understand most of the texts that we will encounter. Okay, so now I will go into the whole Vedic structure. What are the scriptures that we have? What is their importance? Right. So today's class we will limit to that only. The actual text we will start in the next class. So as I said, don't worry about the vastness. It is just meant to convey to you how rich our culture is, how much we can learn from it, and how many things our ancient teachers or forefathers left behind for us. Right? So before we go into that, I will just give you a gist, a short summary of Tattvabodha itself, without the logic. What is the conclusion that we will read? It might seem like a spoiler, but actually it will help you when we go through the text, that what are we going to learn from this text? And that logic will help us understand the nature of our scriptures. So let's go to that. So first of all, the whole purpose of this text and most spiritual texts is to understand the nature of whom? myself? Who am I? That is the big question, and that is answered. We think we know everything. We think we know every part of ourselves, but that is not true. We do not know our true nature. So, what is the first point that the text takes up? What is the first method it takes up? It shows us that I have to differentiate between two things. What am I and what is mine? मैं or mera. So I have to define what is mine and what is me. So if me, I am different from what I perceive. I am different from what I perceive. Whatever I perceive cannot be me, right? So there we go back step by step. So what is the first step? We perceive everything around us. Everything, all the whole world. Pura sansar, the whole samsara we perceive. So is the sansara me? No, this is my mobile. This is not me. This is my book. This is not me. This is my table or someone's table. Not me. Okay. So all these are not me. Then let us come to this body. This body also is my body. This is not me. It shocks us. But when we think of it carefully, the body is not me. It is just an instrument that I am using. So body is not me because I say mera sharir, my body, my ears, my nose, my all my sense organs, right? So then what am I perceiving everything through? Through my sense organs. They also I call as mine. My ears, my hearing power. The sense organs are not the ear, the physical ear. They are the power inside it, the hearing power. So I say, yes, this is my hearing power. With it I can see. With it I can hear. My eyes, I can see. So all of these are just are instruments. They are our instruments to perceive the world. Then who is perceiving these instruments? It is the mind. The mind sees the eye functioning. The mind sees, and so we say the mind gets all the inputs from all the organs and it forms a composite picture of reality. It forms a composite picture of reality. So that mind is the one that receives the input. But is the mind again me? No, we say mera man. आज मेरा मन खराब है. My mind is not in a good mood. I am in a bad mood. I am sad. I am happy. So even though I say I am sad, I am happy, we are talking about mind. The mind, it is all the states. These are all the states of the mind that we are talking about, and these states change. So anything that is changing, it cannot be me actually. That is the basic one of the laws of Vedanta also. So anything that is changing cannot be me. Then who is perceiving that? Who is the perceiver? Can any perception happen when we are not conscious? No. Everything happens when we are conscious. So it is the consciousness that is the perceiver of all of these things. Right? It is the consciousness that is the perceiver of everything. But what about during sleep? During sleep also consciousness is perceiving. But my eyes are closed, my ears are closed. So I am receiving no inputs. So at that time, the act of perception is not happening just because the instruments are not being used. Consciousness is always there. Why? Because if consciousness was not there, we would not wake up in the morning. If consciousnness also had gone, right? So this we'll see the logic more about the logic in the later when we go into the text. So what is the conclusion we have reached here? What is the conclusion that I am? What am I? Alka?
Hold on. I am not body, I am the soul.
Soul, yes. Huh? So we can use different names, consciousness, soul, Atma, and later we'll go to Brahman. So I am the consciousness. And then with the process of logic, we will also prove in the text that this consciousness is infinite. This consciousness is infinite. And when this consciousness is infinite, we also link to that the other part of my experience is I exist. That is something also that never goes away. I exist. Existence also is always associated with every person or every object at each and every time. So through that process of logic, we understand three things. First is consciousness, then existence, and then uh, joy, ananda. All these are infinite, and all these are one and the same only. They are different names for the same thing. They are the nature of that Atma. The Atma is of the nature of Satchit Anand or existence, consciousness, bliss. These terms will come into later, but right now I'll just explain a bit for you that when I learn to discover my true nature, I discover that I am conscious, that I exist, and I am ever a source of joy. I am of the nature of joy because I never seek sadness. I seek joy. I seek to be happy. I never want to be unhappy. So that is my nature only. That is why I always seek to be happy. Anything that is making me unhappy, I seek to remove from me. So my nature is joy. So that is the Atma. That is the soul. That is me. And that is when we also understand that this Atma is infinite, that means there is only one Atma. There is only one soul that is functioning through all the beings of the universe. So then when it functions through this body, it becomes Yogesh. When it functions through Alka's body, it becomes Alka. When it functions through George's body, it's George, and so on. So we give a name for the consciousness according to the center through which it is functioning. But actually, there is only one infinite consciousness, right? So let us expand this. Let us expand this. When we expand, then we learn that this consciousness, don't worry about the logic, huh? We'll come into that later on. But right now, we have to understand this consciousness is one consciousness that is functioning through all the beings of the universe. Right? So when this consciousness is functioning through the whole universe, then the whole universe is the body of that consciousness. And then we give a different name for the consciousness that we call Ishvara. Ishvara is the one through which who is functioning through the whole universe. Every part of the universe is a part of his body. That is the consciousness at the macro level, at the biggest, at the grossest, at the maximum level. So that is Ishvara. That is consciousness functioning through the whole universe. And then there is the consciousness that is beyond the universe also. Because since it is infinite, the universe is finite. So this consciousness is beyond the universe also. So that we say that is the total consciousness, and this is just the consciousness of the universe. So the consciousness that is functioning through the whole universe is Ishvara. Consciousness that is functioning through the individual beings is the Jivatma. So Paramatma and Jivatma, or Ishvara and Jivatma, are the names we give it. So Jivatma functioning through me, or functioning through other bodies, or functioning through any other animal. It is the consciousness. It is functioning through every object of the universe also. Because as long as that consciousness is functioning through an object, it is holding it together. The moment the consciousness leaves, the object will collapse. Like our bodies will collapse the moment our consciousness leaves, our body will merge back into its original source, that is the five elements. That also we will come into later on. So, till now, the conclusion we reach is that I am the soul, I am the Atma, I am consciousness, and I am infinite. And then, if this consciousness is functioning through me, it is small, it has a small area of function. If it is functioning through Ishvara, it is a huge area of functioning. But there are many intermediate stages also, intermediate levels. So there are the Pitras, there are the Devtas, there are the Gandharvas. All of these are different level. So all of these we can come into later on. But just for one example, which we will see in Tattvabodha also, Devta. So what is Devta? Devta is like in the case of my eyes. My eyes have a power behind them. It is called the seeing power. So the seeing power is functioning through my eyes, but it is also functioning through every eye in the universe. So because it is functioning through any eye of the universe, it has a common a common consciousness. That consciousness we call Devta. And then for the eyes, it is the Surya Devata. So Surya Devata is the consciousness that is functioning through all the eyes. So Devatas have more area of reach. They are functioning through every eye in the universe, every ear of the universe, and so on. There are so many Devatas. So that is also, there are many levels of this consciousness. It can function through a small body, a medium body, a big body, and the total universe. That is the whole universe. So now we will come into the Veda. What is the Veda? Veda is the knowledge about the total universe, right? So, right, when it is the knowledge of the total universe, then whom can we gain it from? Who has that whole knowledge? I have knowledge about my body and how it functions. Who has the knowledge of the whole universe? Sarah can try, or anyone else?
I don't know. Bhagwan?
Ah, yes, Ishwar, right, Bhagwan. Yeah, because his
Ach-
consciousness is through my heart, through everyone's heart. It's running through so he has knowledge of the whole universe, all the universe. So that knowledge, that whole universal knowledge is called the Veda. Veda is the knowledge of all the things in the universe, everything that is happening. And who can now gain this knowledge? Who can now gain this knowledge from Bhagwan? We have to gain it from Bhagwan. So there are with highly realized people whom we call rishis. They are highly realized people whom we call rishis. They are able to understand and grasp that knowledge from Ishvara, from Ishvara. They are able to download that knowledge, right? And so they are able to write it down in a structure. So, for that, what do they have to do? They have to give up their attachments. They have to give up their attachments. The moment I am attached to my body, my sphere of functioning will be only this body. But if I am able to give my attachment to my partner, my wife, or my children, then my area of functioning is greater. Right? My family becomes my area of functioning. Then I have given up my attachments for this family, and so on, for my animals, my dog, my cat, or whatever. I can have a wider range of my I can expand my consciousness the more people I give love out to. And what is love? Love is to give to someone without expecting anything back in return. That is love. Right? So, how does that come? When I see them all as an extension of myself. They are all extensions of myself, right? So, what does the Rishi do? For him, the Rishi, the whole universe is his family. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The whole universe is his family. So, his mind is always pure. He is never burdened by any kind of worries, thoughts. So, when that mind is pure, it is able to connect to that highest power, to the Ishvara, to Bhagwan. That Rishi is able to connect. And then he is able to receive that knowledge. But that is received in a coded form. It's not easy for everyone to understand. So when the Rishi connects to Ishvara, he receives this knowledge which is in the form of the Vedic verses. All the Vedic verses are they consist of mantras, different mantras. They contain in codified form the knowledge about the whole of the universe. So when this knowledge is written down by the rishi, what is the verification for that? It is received by multiple rishis in that time. Multiple rishis, they wrote it down, and then they compared, and everyone had the same experience. Everyone had the same verses. Some had some of the verses, some had all the verses, and so when they combined it, they found it all matched into a total whole. And that is why we call this knowledge as Shruti. Shruti. Veda is also called Shruti. I hope I'm not burdening with too many terms, but it is something that will come up. So Shruti is heard, something that you have heard. It is knowledge that has been heard. It is transmitted through hearing. So when this Vedic knowledge is transmitted to the rishis, they are able to write it down, and for that they will have to have a certain bhava, a certain state of mind by which they are able to grasp that knowledge. So for every Vedic verse, there is a rishi. There is a rishi, and the name of the rishi will be the rishi. The name of the rishi represents a particular bhava. Like I say, when we go into the first verse of the first mantra of the Vedas, there the rishi is Vishwamitra rishi. So who can Vishwamitra? Who is Vishwamitra? For him, the whole world is he is the friend of every person in the world. So he has no animosity to any of the people in the world. So when a person of that mindset is has achieved that Sajjan Bhav, he has achieved that position, he is able to grasp the verses pertaining to that mindset. So every Vedic verse will have a rishi. Right? So these rishis received these Vedic verses, and then when we look, I'll just share now the structure of the Vedas, so we can. So these are, if you can read Veda. Each Veda has four parts. Each Veda has four parts: Mantra, Brahmana, Aranyak, and Upanishad. Right? Mantra, Brahman, Aranyak, and Upanishad. Mantra represents the vibrational verses of the Veda. So each mantra has four meanings. Each mantra has four meanings. Each mantra is able to awaken in you certain powers. So when you chant that mantra, it will awaken within you a certain power. And that power will help you grasp any kind of knowledge more efficiently. Right? So if we look at the first mantra of the first Veda, which is the Rig Veda. So this is the Rig Veda. So all of these the four Vedas that we have, their name are Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sam Veda, and Atharva Veda. Rig, Yajur, Sam, and Atharva, and they have four subdivisions: Mantra Bhag, Brahmana, Aranyak, and Upanishad. So we'll not go into the details of all of these, but basically, if you understand, a mantra will contain a verse which will have a rishi, as I said, which will have a rishi. That rishi represents the state of mind, the bhava of the person who realized that verses. Then it will have a devata. A devata will represent the power that will be awakened within us when we chant these verses. So even if you don't know the meaning of these verses, by constant chanting, these devatas will be awakened in our mind. And so we will be able to read these verses and chant them, and they will function as awakeners of powers that are already within us, not something that will come from outside us. All these powers are within us. So every verse, every mantra that we have in the Vedas, in the mantra bhag, it will have these four aspects. First aspect is the vibration. When you read it, it will awaken different powers within you. Every word, every letter has a certain vibrational significance, which if I go into, it will take time. I can explain to you, but we will not go into that. But when that vibration is awakened within you, then you become more efficient in everything that you do. So then what happens is the second level of meaning. The second level of meaning is the karma. Karma is how we do any action or activity in our life. So the second level of meaning is understood as when we use that verse, we will get the karmic meaning. The karmic meaning will help us do any activity in a better manner. And then the third level of it is upasana. Whenever we connect to any of the divine forces, the devatas, they will guide us in our endeavors. So that is upasana. Upasana means to, upa means to be near, and asana to sit near to someone, right? So in upasana, we leave out all the distractions and we focus our mind on the devata, and that devata then helps us in our endeavors. So in upasana, that is the third level of meaning. We are able to do our karma with the guidance of God, with the guidance of the devatas, the divine forces. So we become more efficient, right? And then the fourth level is knowledge, knowledge, jnana. So jnana, the fourth level of meaning is achieved when we understand the knowledge aspect of every verse. So what happens is how we are functioning, why we are functioning, what we are doing. So once we know that, our action becomes even more efficient. Everything that we do in our life, right? So these Vedic mantras, they help us achieve clarity in our mind and ultimately to reach that highest stage of moksha or liberation, where we are not tied down by our thoughts and feelings, right? When we are free, when we are truly able to connect to our inner true nature and be clear enough in our life and meaning to be able to do all these. So just as a short as a short description of these remaining ones, the mantra bhag represents the Vedic verses. Brahmana is that part of the Veda where these Vedic verses are applied to action, different kinds of havans, homas. And then when we read those Brahmana part, we will start understanding the karmic meaning of the Vedic mantras, karmic meaning of the Vedic mantras. But it is not necessary to read the Brahmanas. Once we open our mind to Ishvara, once we open our minds to the Lord, these meanings will automatically come, all four levels, all four levels. But if you go in an academic manner, then you read the text, you read Brahmana, you will understand the karmic meaning of the mantra. You read the Aranyaka, you will understand the Upasana meaning of the verses. You read the Upanishad, then we will then you will understand the knowledge aspect of every verse. So Upanishads represent the ultimate, they represent the knowledge aspect of every verse or everything that we learn in life. So Upanishads are very important in our Vedic structure. A lot of the teachers will teach just the Upanishads for you to understand your aim in life, right? Your path in life. They will help you decide, right? And then we have the next level. The next level represents the six sciences, darshana. So darshana represents six sciences. So anyone whose mind has been awakened by the Vedas, they have written these six sciences: Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Yoga, Sankhya, and Purv Mimamsa. So the Vedic rishis then gave theoretical sciences for us to be able to understand the nature of the universe. So what are these theoretical sciences? Nyaya. Nyaya represents logic. What logic we should apply where to understand which aspect of this reality. So this whole universe, this reality that we perceive before us, to understand this, we need a process. We need a method, a proper method. So that method, even though with an awakened mind we can easily see all of that, but if it has to be written down in words, it is written down in these darshana shastras, nyaya. So nyaya is logic. Then Vaisheshika is basically, you can say, physics. It is physics. It is the structure of the universe at the micro level. At the micro level. Then third is yoga. Yoga is the study of our thoughts, how to understand our thoughts, how to control them, how to focus them, and how to achieve oneness of the mind and the body. Oneness of the mind and the body. That is yoga. And then you have Sankhya. So Sankhya represents the structure of the universe at the macro level, the universe at the gross level. So that structure is explained. And it is more deeper than just the galaxies and the stars we read about in physics or our books here. It has huge literature. Then we have another huge text, Purva Mimamsa. So Purva Mimamsa is what? Purva Mimamsa is the study of action. Study of action, which action will lead to which end will then lead to the next action, and so on. It explains all about the Vedic yagyas, havans. So what is a havana? Havan is a method, a physical method of connecting to the deities, to the higher powers. When we do a homa at our house, the fire ritual, that fire ritual focuses our concentration onto the fire, and from that we are able to connect to the higher devatas, and then we are able to reach a level that is not previously possible for us in our day-to-day life, because where we are not able to focus. So you can do a homa with material, you can do it without material also. Just focus your mind inward, sit quietly in peace, chant some mantra, and go inside, and then you are also doing a yajna. So all that process of yajna is explained by Purmimansa. And then finally, Vedanta. Vedanta represents understanding the Upanishads. It represents interpreting the Upanishads to understand the knowledge aspect of everything. Understand the knowledge aspect of everything, right? And then we have Upavedas, we have Itihasa. The Itihasa contains of Purana, the Ramayana, Mahabharata, you would have heard about. So all of these have they tell the Ramayana and Mahabharata, they tell about our spiritual knowledge in codified language, in the form of stories, in the form of narrations, which are easier for the common people to understand, right? And then we have the Smritis. Smritis tell us how different interrelationships in a society have to be run, how a society has to be run, how people have to behave with each other, how every activity is to be performed, what the king has to do, what the common person has to do. All this is the subject of Smriti. And then finally, Vedanga. Vedanga represents other parts of our knowledge. So one is Vyakarana, which is grammar. Then you have Jyotish, which is the study of our fate. Niruktaha, the structure of words. Shiksha, language as such. Chanda, whenever we chant any mantra, what is the meter or the tone in which we chant it? And Kalpa. So all these are different parts of studying the Vedic knowledge. They help us to understand different aspects of any Vedic Grantha that we are reading. Mukesh ji has raised his hand. Is want to say something? मुकेश जी आपने कुछ पूछना है या ऐसे ही रेज्ड हैंड दब गया है? आई थिंक सो. Okay then Mukesh ji is not able to connect to the audio, I think, so he's not clicked on join audio. Okay, now I think is good. So what we have learned in here is that the Vedic knowledge is such that it is connected and received by the rishis, those who have very pure minds. Once that knowledge is written down by them, it is used by the people to chant and raise their levels of consciousness. They have not reached the level of rishi consciousness, so they will slowly raise themselves up by invoking the different powers within them, raising them up. So if we say the different powers, they have different names. So Agni represents what? Where does Agni go? Agni goes upward always. So Agni represents my own consciousness at the individual level, which is always seeking towards liberation. Agni represents the individual consciousness seeking liberation, right? Then Indra is the ruler of the gods. So who is the ruler of the gods? Our Vivek Shakti, our capability to interpret or differentiate right from wrong. That is Vivek Shakti. So Indra represents that. So all of these devatas represent different powers within us. These powers, when we chant the Vedic mantras or when we try to understand them, we can use Sanskrit or we can use a simple text like Tattvabodha to interpret, and then they will make sense to us. So it is not necessary for you to understand, but just chanting the Vedic mantras is enough for you to raise the level of your mind. So once we do that, we will slowly understand that what is our main problem? Our main problem is attachment. We are attached to the things in the world. The more we let go of our attachments, the more we learn to enjoy everything without holding on to anything. Enjoy everything without holding on to everything. That is the secret towards reaching the higher levels of our mind. Right? Remember, when are we thinking more clearly? Let us say I have an operation, I'm a doctor and I have an operation in front of me. I have to let go of all thoughts. If I'm thinking of my family, it is definite that there will be some kind of error or some kind of uh, distraction in front of me that might make me make even a fatal mistake. Right? So anything that we do in our life, to do it in the most efficient and most uh, logical and better manner, we have to leave our attachments, right? So that is the secret of everything in life. Whenever we do anything in life, the attachments that we are holding on to, we have to let them go. And that is the Vedic system, right? So in the Vedic system, as we have seen, there are so many parts. So what is the so if we reach the final part, we saw that when we interpret the Vedas, we use 6 different sciences. Of them, one is Vedanta. Vedanta is the jnana, the knowledge aspect. So from that knowledge aspect, to explain that knowledge aspect, we had different lineages, different teaching lines. They all go from one guru to the student, and then one of the students become the guru and he teaches the others. And they have come down to us from uh, all these up generations. We have full lists of those teaching lineages. So all these lineages interpret the Shastras in different ways so that we can get a full comprehensive meaning. So one of these is Advaita. Advaita is understanding the oneness of the universe. Advaita, one, non-dual, union, single. So understanding the non-duality of the universe. So all these, we name the lineages, we name in Hindi or in Sanskrit as Sampradaya. Sampradaya. All the Sampradaya, they will have different interpretation of the same Shastra. Same Shastra. So, so they might clash with each other, but actually they are only complementing each other, right? So I will never go into the clashes, because a lot of teachers, they go more into the why Nyaya is better or Vaisheshik is better. We will never go into that, because I believe all of them are independent, separate sciences. So you can never say physics is better or chemistry is better or biology is better. They all have different spheres of application. And so when we go into these texts, then the text that we are going to be reading is at the bottom level, it's the starting level. What is it called? The text is called a Prakarana Grantha. Prakarana Grantha. So it lists all the terms that will be coming in the uh, more complex scriptures and explains their full meaning. And it is in the form of question answer format. That is the format of all our teachings. There will be a line, and then from that line, the teacher will ask, the student will ask a question, teacher will clarify. Student will ask another question, teacher will clarify. And that is how the whole text is explained by the teacher to the student. He will start with the full knowledge in one sentence, the condensed knowledge, and then he split it up into bit. So as to make it easy for the student to grasp that knowledge, right? So when we go into Tattvabodha, we will also follow that same structure, because the mantras, the words are built in that way that they give one verse and then each word is then broken up for explanation by the teacher itself. And then, of course, we will also examine every word logically. Why? Because first, what we have to understand is what is the Vedic knowledge? It is the knowledge that is achieved from Ishvara. What is the Vedic knowledge? Achieved from Ishvara, and we call it also Shruti. So that Shruti is the knowledge that is unquestioned. We may not understand some parts of it and we may criticize or we may say it is wrong. But when we understand, we will find nothing in Shruti ever is wrong. We just have to change our outlook to understand it. Right? So that is why our first importance in understanding anything is Shruti. Shruti is the first level where anything we have to learn, we have to first search in the scriptures. Why? Because it is telling about things that are not at the level of experience of the common man. हमारे आपके लेवल की नहीं है वो. It is achieved by people who have gone higher than us. So Shruti is the topmost priority. Then what is the next priority? Yukti. Logic. It should be logical. Just because the Shruti is saying, I will not accept. No, that is not right. I will have to examine it logically. So if Shruti is saying something, I will examine it logically. And once it is logically coherent, once it is logically understood, I will accept it. Right? So that is the Yukti part. And then the third level. What is the third level? Anubhuti. Shruti, Yukti, Anubhuti. So Anubhuti is my experience. Is it my experience also? You are saying that this is happening. You are saying, but is it my experience also? Or can it be my experience if I can reach that state? That is the final part. So that is the final verification. So anything that we study, we always, our scriptures follow the method of Shruti, Yukti and Anubhuti. That is how they will give the importance to anything. First, it has to be said by Shruti. Second, it has to be logical. And third, it has to be experienceable. It has to be a part of my experience. Or even if it is not part of direct experience, it can be indirectly experienced. So these terms we'll slowly go into later on. So today we'll just wind up till here, because then tomorrow, next class, I want to go into the actual text itself. So for now, if anyone has any questions or anything you want to ask, you may do so. So then we can move into the next section for the next class. Or if anyone is finding it tough, please also tell me. I'll make it more easy. Of course, I assure you that it will be easier from the next class, because this one I didn't give you any logic or any explanation. I just told you everything as it is, right? So anyone has any questions? Mukesh ji?
I have a question.
Yes, yes.
मुझे ये पूछना है, जैसे आप कह रहे थे हर मंत्र में कोई ना कोई भगवान होता है जिस that is
Devta.
awakened. Devta that is awakened. So which Devta is awakened by reciting Om?
Om. So Om represents the whole reality. Om is not one single reality. Om represents, Om is the word for Brahma. Om is the representation of the whole universe that has been manifest. So Om has three parts: A, U and Ma. So A represents Brahmaji, the creative aspects. U represents Vishnu, the maintaining aspect, and Ma represents Layam, Shiva, the destructive aspect. So Om represents all three aspects of the manifest reality. जो भी हमें दिख रहा है वो सब कुछ Om है. And further there is one more. There is Nad Bindu. There is a dot at the top. What is the dot represent? The silence. When everything is beyond this creation. So beyond this creation also, the consciousness or Atma or Brahman is there. He's not just limited to this. So that Nad Bindu, that dot at the top of Om, represents the silence from which all sounds emanate. All sounds come from. So Om represents all the Devtas, the whole universe. Right?
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Anyone else wants to ask something or wants to say something?
I also think it's a little bit confusing. थोड़ा सा confusing था.
I know. I
Even
know.
for
First
all
time.
of adults, तो बच्चों के लिए तो I don't think उनको कुछ समझ में आया होगा. मुझे जो लग रहा है.
हाँ,
कुछ
I know.
आता
First,
है, but
हाँ,
many
मुझे
things are
समझ
very
आया.
very hard.
आया ना?
It's
आया.
I
देखो,
understood.
don't underestimate the kids. That is wrong of you.
Okay, sorry. मैंने कहा ये मेरे लिए कहेंगे बच्चे.
Just assuming we don't know.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate our बच्चे.
Yeah,
अच्छा ठीक
बिल्कुल
है।
बिल्कुल। नमस्ते जी।
मैंने कहा बच्चे कहेंगे
Namaste,
मम्मा
namaste ji, Yogesh ji.
बहुत
You are
कंफ्यूजिंग
doing
है।
good job. Keep it up.
थैंक यू जी, थैंक यू।
या
थैंक यू।
वो तो है, ये
चल,
बच्चे आप लोग सीखोगे तो आगे सिखाओगे ना।
हमने भी तो फर्स्ट डे सीखा तो हमें कुछ भी नहीं आता था, हम क्लास में गए, कुछ नहीं आता था। फिर व्हेन वी स्टडीड देन स्लोली द टीचर एक्सप्लेन, वी आस्क क्वेश्चंस एट द एंड एंड देन दे एक्सप्लेन दैट एंड देन वी वर एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड। पहले तो एक
हाँ,
छोटा टेक्स्ट ही से स्टार्ट किया ना, वी स्टार्टेड विद तत्वबोध, वी ऑल स्टार्टेड देयर एंड देन वंस वी लर्न वी वर एबल टू, टुडे आई कैन read any scripture or any text, I can tell the meaning of any line from anywhere. Why? Because I have built the basis which that my teacher taught me. So it is their grace. I'm thankful to them that they
या
have given me this knowledge. So जब कुछ मिलता है ना, you want to share. So I like to, I really want everyone to know this, because it is beneficial. This is a good knowledge, right? So we can
या
maybe try over this next few weeks. We can try and understand, and then maybe we can continue after that also. But I think these 20 classes will be sufficient for us to get full
Thank you.
hold
Thank
of
you.
this topic. Okay, na? Chalo.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you
Thank you.
everyone then.
थैंक
Thank
यू,
you for
Thank
थैंक यू।
thank
जय
Bye.
सिया
Thank
राम,
you.
जय श्री कृष्णा।